Welcome to the Reddit Chronicles. Today we will be reading from relationship advice. Our first post is by Throwaway. Girlfriend wore and messed up a soccer jersey that had sentimental value to me even after I asked her not to. My girlfriend really likes doing all the cutesy couple stuff that includes wearing my hoodies and sweatshirts and keeping them. I'm pretty skinny and she's quite a bit bigger than I am, so when she does wear my clothes she stretches them out. The jersey in question I got from my best friend before he moved back to his home country. It's from my favorite club and has my favorite player's name and number on it. Friday night my girlfriend's sorority was having some sort of jersey night event party where all the girls wear sports jerseys. My girlfriend asked if she could borrow my soccer jersey since she doesn't have any jerseys to wear. I told her no because the jersey means a lot to me, and I didn't want to risk her spilling something on it or getting it dirty. The real reason was because I knew she was going to stretch it out, but I didn't want to hurt her feelings. She ended up taking the jersey from my room anyways while I was in class. She wore it to her party. I saw pictures she was tagged in of her wearing it and it looked so tight on her. I tried it on and it fits so big on me now. I'm pretty pissed off, to be honest. She apologized crying to me and said that she didn't know it would stretch out like it did, and she's offered to pay resale value for a new one. I know it's just a jersey and she didn't mean to do it, but I'm upset that she wore it even after I asked her not to. Am I making too big of a deal over a shirt? Our next post is by Throwaway. My boyfriend 19M wants to leave me 18F because I wasn't happy enough about the baby that he didn't want to have. I recently found out I was pregnant. It wasn't planned. I'm only 18 and I was terrified. I'm not ready to be a mom. I really would love to be in the future, but not now, I told my boyfriend, and he was in favor of getting an abortion. He said he wasn't ready. I agreed with him but was so scared. I wanted to talk about all our options, but anytime I would mention adoption or keeping it, he didn't want to hear it. He even said if I kept it he would try to be in the child's life, but he could not be with me, because he would never look at me the same if I decided to inconvenience him by keeping it. He later took that back. This has been the most traumatic experience of my life. I went to the doctor and they took my HGC level. They said it wasn't high enough, and it looked like the pregnancy wasn't viable and the baby wasn't healthy. This crushed me, because even though I didn't think I could be a mom just yet, the face that my baby wasn't healthy and probably wasn't going to make it hurt me. I cried and cried to my boyfriend. He's not the best with comforting me. He usually just sits in silence until he figures out something to say. I understand that he's doing his best. I was crying to him because I was afraid I wouldn't be able to have children later in life. I asked him, "Do you think I'll be able to have babies later?" He said, "I hope so." Then he started talking about the movie Up and how the couple in the movie can't have children. He said, "I wonder if that will be us." That made me feel worse. I just wanted some comfort in that moment. Not that. I said, "I have to call you back." The next day he texted me saying he wants a paternity test. He was mad I hung up, I guess. He then called me and went off on me. I don't even remember everything he said, but it was bad. He told me that the baby wasn't the mistake, that I was. He said F you and the baby. He said that I have had nothing good to say about the baby, which isn't true. He told me I'm a horrible person and that he doesn't want to be with me. He said that he would never want me to be the mother of his child. He said he didn't care cause the baby is gonna die anyway. It was horrible. Later he called and briefly said sorry, but then just started demanding I tell him when I was going to get rid of it. Even though I'd already told him I don't know if the baby is going to survive, I might miscarry. He apologized later. Today I got my HGC levels back again and it went down. It looks like my baby is going to die soon. He then told me that he doesn't want to be with me because I was not happy enough about the baby, and other girls would be grateful to have his baby. I said, how can I be happy when I will have to get rid of it? He said I could still be happy, it's his baby. He said I did nothing to comfort him and he feels alone with me. He doesn't want to be with me. I'm so traumatized after this whole situation. Our next post is by Beneficial Bat. My 25F boyfriend 25M of 12 years has told me he's had a baby. How do I get over this? I've been with my boyfriend since we were both 13. I always imagined we would be together forever. I have only slept with him. He is the only boyfriend I've ever had. I've given up so much for him. I didn't pursue my chosen career and go to uni, as it would have meant moving away from him. I passed up the opportunity to move abroad with my family, and I now have no family living in this country anymore. I passed up going traveling and nights out with friends on what should have been the best years of my life. We own a house together. We split the mortgage, but I put the full $10,000 deposit down as I am in a financially better position than him. I always envisioned growing old with him, spending my life with him, having kids with him. We briefly broke up in December, early January, for a few weeks after an argument. He went out and slept with somebody else but didn't tell me. We just got back together and nothing was said. Yesterday, he speaks to me very upset and tells me that in September, he'd had a baby girl with a woman he'd had a one-night stand with. I asked why he didn't tell me sooner, and he said because he doubted the child was his, and he wanted to block it all out, so he was ignoring the girl. But the girl contacted his mother, and his mother had a grandparent DNA test done, and proved she's the grandmother. Ever since, his mom has been arguing with him about being involved, as she sees the baby every weekend and telling him he needs to tell me. He only told me because his mom said if he didn't she would. I don't know how to handle this. Boyfriend is crying, saying he was trapped, that the girl told him she was on contraceptives and was allergic to condoms. He's saying he's not ready and he doesn't want to lose me and is making threats on himself if I leave him. I don't know what to do. Do I forget these past 12 years and all I've ever known and move on, or do I forgive him and try to make this work? Edit. I did message the girl, probably against my better judgment, and asked how we could move forward and sent her my best wishes. She just said that she doesn't care if he does or doesn't want to be involved, and that the door's open but she's glad his family are involved. Then she blocked me. I don't want a stepchild at all. I don't even want a child of my own for at least another 5 years. I asked him how we would move on from this, and he said we will just pretend the child doesn't exist and go about our lives, which disgusted me because I never thought he was the type of coward to abandon an innocent child, and I don't want to be seen as enabling him to do that. I truly believe even if I was out of his life he wouldn't see the child, and with us still together in that situation, I'd be seen as the evil one, and like I somehow condone his actions. I envisioned him as a strong man of good character, and the fact he doesn't want involvement with the child, and keeps referring to the baby as it, and has even blocked his mom off of everything because she is seeing the baby, and he doesn't want her to, makes me look at him in a different cowardly light, and is giving me the ick. If he had told me when he found out that he'd got a girl pregnant but they'd need a DNA, then got a DNA when baby was born, and he'd stuck by the kid, I don't think I'd even be asking this question. I'd be upset and not want to be a step-parent, and I doubt I would be involved myself for a few years, but I'd have supported him and accepted his mistake. The way he's gone about it has ruined everything. If he truly loved me and cared about me, he would have told me from day one. Our next post is by Throwaway. My F31 husband, M32, doesn't want to spend time with his family. I've gotten closer to one of our friends, M31, and am now in love with him. Need help navigating this, lost and in deep. I need help. I'm not sure this is the best place for this type of thing, but if there's a better place, please point me in the right direction. So me, F31, and my husband, M32, have a 4-year-old daughter together. Same old story, great in the beginning, the usual small arguments, and especially since having our daughter he's way more distant. Would rather spend his time playing video games than spend time with me or our daughter. Oh, and if he's not playing games, he's on YouTube on his phone, watching people play games. We have a tight friend group that I married into, so to speak. 14 of us. Everyone at least went to high school with each other, some went to elementary. I am the only outsider. Around 8 months ago, a couple from this group bought a house very close to ours. Naturally, our daughters have become closer friends and want to do a lot of things together. So she joined the same dance class as ours. The class is at 8 a.m. on Saturdays, so the dad takes her. Meet SM31. S and I have always gotten along. We met around 9 years ago when my husband and I got together. The first week at class we sat together for the hour in the waiting room. It's separate from the hall so we can't actually watch. We usually just sit in awkward silence. S is quite a funny guy, so it flew by with his company. The next week he's there and says he's going to get a coffee instead of sitting in that room. I am welcome to join if I am not busy. I agree and we get in his car. We end up stuck in traffic, so by the time we get there, there's not much time left to sit in and have it, so we get it to go and sat for 20 minutes in his car. That's fine. The next week he says he's doing the same thing. I am welcome to join. We go again, and this time, I don't know why, but I got very paranoid about it. I asked if we could just get it in the drive-thru and stay in the car again. He says sure, and we end up passing his phone between us, picking terrible songs from our childhood for the hour. It was actually quite fun. And every week for the past 8 months has went like this, and I've not told my husband about any of it. I lost my dad a few months ago, and my husband just didn't care. No compassion, no comforting. Nothing. I couldn't believe the man I married was acting this way when I needed him most. I couldn't even cry around him without him huffing and puffing. Turned to my outlet during this time, and I've cried in his arms several times. Through this he asked how things were at home, and I was honest with him, and told him I've never felt more alone than when I'm at home with my husband. He's been amazing putting up with me, and had suggested a marriage counselor, which I brought to my husband, but he was having none of it. Has told me he feels differently about my husband. He had no idea he was like that, and has actually made a few comments towards him about it, but as usual, way above my husband's head. I've lost feelings for my husband, and probably did a long time ago, and have fallen for hard. I feel wrecked with guilt, confused, hurt, sad, but all of that goes away when I see his face. I want to add here that in no way has ever been inappropriate to me. He's never acted creepy, never said anything suggestible, never caught him staring, nothing at all that would suggest he has alternate motives. But I'm ashamed to admit, the only reason we haven't kissed or had sex is because he's never made a move. I am scared because the way he makes me feel, I don't think I would say no or pull away. There's been a few times after seeing him when I get home that all I do is wish he did make a move, and that makes me a horrible person. This all sounds crazy for someone I spend an hour with every morning at the weekend, but it's spilled over to other clubs our kids go to. I'll see him at nursery. I started matching our dog walking times some days so we will see each other. If there's an excuse to see him, I'll find it and use it. I know this is bad, and I need to do something about it, but when it comes to it, I never do anything because I don't want to. Then hours after, I'm battling my head telling myself I need to stop, and I need to sort my marriage, whether that be working on it or separating. I want to tell how I feel, but I don't want to look like a fool. I don't want to scare him. What if it blows up their marriage? What if our kids can't see each other? What happens to the friend group if this gets out? It's a mess. I don't know what to do because we will still see each other a lot. My husband would never take our daughter to classes, so I'm stuck with that. I always do the nursery runs. How can I get over him if he's everywhere? Thank you for listening to the Reddit Chronicles. Follow for more content.